Wealth is not just about money. It's about philosophy, habits, and long-term thinking. Poverty is rarely just a money problem. It's a thinking problem, wrapped in habits, reinforced by years of excuses. You can take everything away from a wealthy thinker, and they'll find a way to get it back. But you can give a fortune to a poor thinker, and it'll vanish like smoke on a windy day. Why? Because money doesn't stay where it's not respected. And poverty doesn't leave where it feels at home. The good news? What's learned can be unlearned. What's broken can be rebuilt. You see, the great tragedy isn't that people start out poor. That's how most of us begin. The tragedy is when people stay there generation after generation because no one ever taught them that the first currency isn't dollars, it's discipline. The second is awareness. And the third, responsibility. Now, don't misunderstand me. There are real obstacles in the world, but there's one thing worse than having obstacles: blaming them. The minute you let someone else's decision determine your destiny, you've surrendered the keys to your future, and that's why the cycle repeats. So today I want to talk to you, not just about why poor people stay poor, but how you can fix it. Not with magic, not with a miracle, but with mindset, habits, and choices. Because poverty begins in the mind, shows up in your daily routine, and grows in the soil of neglect. Fix the thinking, and the finances follow. Let's begin. Let me tell you something I learned a long time ago. If you don't have a vision for your life, I promise you, you're already living in someone else's team. And most of the time, the people you end up working for, they had one. They wrote it down. They built it brick by brick, day by day, thought by thought. The great tragedy is that most people drift. They wake up each morning not to build, but to react. Not to advance, but to survive. That's the silent poison of poverty, no plan, no picture, no path. Now, vision isn't just about seeing the future, it's about creating it. It's about looking ahead 5 years, 10 years, and saying, here's who I'll become, here's what I'll earn, here's what I'll give, and here's the life I will build. Most people never do that. They're too busy putting out daily fires to sit down and light a long-term flame. But if you want to get wealthy, really wealthy, not just money in the bank, but freedom in your spirit, you've got to design that life in advance. I remember being broke, not just financially, but mentally. My pockets were empty, and so was my calendarno goals, no direction. I worked all day, came home tired, and repeated the same thing every morning. Then someone asked me a question that changed everything. Where are you going? And I realized I didn't know. I had no blueprint, no target. That day, I sat down with a blank piece of paper and started writing my future. I asked myself, quote, what do I want my life to look like 5 years from now? Not what someone else wanted, for me what I wanted. You've got to do the same. Take out a sheet of paper, write down your 5-year wealth vision. How much do you want to earn? Be specific. Don't write more money. That's vague, and the brain doesn't follow vagueness. Write, I want to earn $150,000 per year from my business. Or, I want to have $50,000 in investments. Add a giving goal, because generosity is part of wealth too. The wealthy think about impact, not just income. Then stretch that vision to 10 years. Picture your home, your freedom, your family vacations, your investments, the charities you support. You've got to see it so clearly that your mind starts treating it like it's already real. That's how the subconscious works. When you paint a vivid picture, it starts to make decisions that match that image. That's not magic. That's psychology. That's strategy. Now, understand this. Poor people live day to day. They ask, how do I get through today? Wealthy people live by design. They ask, how do I build tomorrow? And that starts with vision. It's the foundation. No skyscraper was built by accident. Somebody sat down with a blueprint and they worked on it for years, every floor, every beam, every detail. Your life should be no different. If you leave it to chance, you're choosing mediocrity by default. Your wealth journey doesn't start with money. It starts with imagination. So, the first rule is take responsibility for designing your future. Don't leave it to the economy, your boss. or your past. Pick up the pen, create a 5-year plan, create a 10-year plan, revisit it every month. That vision becomes your compass. And once you start walking in the direction of your dreams with clarity and purpose, life starts to align in your favor. That's the beginning of building real wealth, seeing it before you have it. Most people don't go broke because they didn't earn enough. They go broke because they spent more than they earned. And I'll tell you something I've learned over the years. Earning money is only half the equation. Keeping it, growing it, and using it wisely, that's where the difference lies. The tragedy is, so many people are caught in the trap of looking rich before they ever become rich. They spend money they don't have to impress people they don't even know, and then they wonder why their bank account feels like a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Let me be honest with you. Overspending is a silent killer. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up in little things, a streaming subscription you forgot about, that third coffee of the day, eating out 5 times a week instead of once. None of those things seem deadly by themselves, but they bleed you over time. Financial death doesn't always come with a bang. It comes drip by drip, month after month, year after year. And then suddenly you're broke, tired, and wondering where all the money went. And it didn't disappear, it leaked. Now let me share a simple philosophy that changed everything for me. Live on 70% of what you make. Just 70%. That's the magic number. The remaining 30%, divide it wisely. Save 10%, invest 10%, and give 10%. That's right, give. Because generosity shapes your heart, and a generous heart makes smarter financial decisions. I've never met a greedy person with lasting wealth. Wealth without purpose becomes a burden, not a blessing. When I first started practicing this rule, I wasn't making much. And let me tell you, it was hard. But I tracked every dollar. I made a basic budget, nothing fancy. Just a simple sheet where every expense had a name and a place. My notebook became my blueprint. I didn't guess where my money was going. I told it where to go. I watched my income like a hawk, and I plugged every hole. You'd be amazed how much freedom comes when you know where your money sleeps at night. A budget isn't about restriction, it's about intention. It's not about saying no to everything. It's about saying yes to the right things. And here's what I know. When you stop letting your money control you, and you start telling it what to do, you shift from surviving to building. Most people don't have a money problem, they have a decision-making problem. They're not broke, they're undisciplined. And let me tell you, if you can't manage $1,000, you won't manage $10,000. And if you can't manage $10,000, you'll blow through $100,000 faster than you can blink. Wealth magnifies your habits. If your spending is out of control now, more money won't fix it. It'll only accelerate the damage. That's why the 70 divided by 10 divided by 10 divided by 10 rule is a wealth building system disguised as simplicity. So, here's the fix. Track every dollar. Create a plan for every paycheck. Spend with purpose, not pressure. If you're constantly playing catch-up, you're building your financial life on sand. Build it on a foundation of margin and mindfulness. Build it with a plan. Live beneath your means. Grow the gap. Invest the difference. Money doesn't vanish, it leaks. And you're the one holding the bucket. Patch it up and watch your wealth begin to rise. One of the greatest mistakes I see people make, especially those stuck in a cycle of financial struggles, that they stop learning the moment they walk out of school, as if a diploma somehow marks the end of growth. But let me ask you something. Has your income ever outgrown your personal development? For most people, the answer is no, because income doesn't grow in a vacuum. It grows in proportion to who you become. That's a truth too many people ignore. They think, I've got a job, I clock in, I clock out, and that should be enough. But jobs pay you for what you dow wealth, pays you for who you become. And who you become is shaped by what you consistently learn. When I started out, I wasn't just broke financially, I was broke mentally. I had small ideas, limited thinking, and almost no exposure to real wealth principles. The job I had barely covered my bills. And I'll never forget the day someone handed me a book on financial literacy and said, "Read this, it might change the way you think." I was skeptical, but I read it anyway. and it was like opening a window in a dark room. I saw possibilities I didn't even know existed. And I realized something profound. Poor people stay poor not because they lack money, but because they stop investing in the one asset that multiplies everything else, themselves. Let's get this straight. The most powerful investment you'll ever make is not in real estate or stocks. It's in your own mind. Books, seminars, online courses, mentorship, these are not luxuries. These are essentials, and they don't require you to be wealthy to start. All they require is a hunger to grow. The moment I began feeding my mind, my bank account started catching up. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened steadily, because wealth follows wisdom, not wishful thinking wisdom. And here's what I know. Your value to the marketplace will always reflect the value you place on your own development. You want to earn more? Become more. Learn to communicate better. Learn to sell. Learn to think critically. Learn to manage your time. Learn to lead. Learn to invest. I've seen janitors become entrepreneurs, factory workers become millionaires, not because they had a head start, but because they developed the skills, the mindset, and the habits of someone who could build and handle wealth. And you know what separates the rich from the poor in most cases? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's daily discipline, specifically the discipline to learn when no one is watching. You think the wealthy stop reading books once they hit success? No, they double down. They surround themselves with mentors. They attend seminars. They study. They ask questions. Because the moment you stop learning, you start shrinking. And you can't grow your income if your thinking is shrinking. The problem is, poor thinking says, I don't have time to read. Rich thinking says, I don't have time not to read. Poor thinking says, I already know enough. Rich thinking says, what else can I learn? It's a difference in posture. One is closed, the other is curious. And curiosity is the engine of growth. So if you want to get rich not just financially, but rich in options, freedom, and peace, you've got to make personal development a non-negotiable. Read 10 pages a day, listen to podcasts while you drive, attend a seminar every quarter, find someone who's 10 steps ahead of you, and learn from their mistakes. Pay attention, take notes, ask better questions. Because the quality of your learning will always dictate the quality of your earning. If your bank account is flat, the first place to check isn't your Joe, but your growth curve. Are you becoming someone worth more? If not, start today. Feed your mind, build your skills, elevate your thinking, and watch your wealth rise to meet the new version of you. Fear, it's one of the greatest thieves of opportunity. And when it comes to money, it steals more than dollars. It robs people of the chance to grow, to expand, to rise beyond the limits they've quietly accepted. You see, most people don't stay broke because they're lazy or because they're not capable. They stay broke because they fear risk more than they crave success. They don't mind the pain of staying small. What they fear is the discomfort of change, and that fear becomes their ceiling. Now, let me tell you what I've learned. All growth requires a little risk. It requires stretching. It requires stepping out into territory that's unfamiliar. And yes, sometimes you'll fall flat. But here's the truth. Staying in your comfort zone guarantees one thing: you will never move beyond it. You cannot tiptoe your way into a wealthy life. At some point, you have to take a step that scares you. When I was first introduced to the world of personal growth and investing, I was afraid. Afraid I'd lose money. Afraid I'd look foolish. Afraid I wasn't smart enough to understand how any of it worked. But I'll tell you what turned that fear into fuel. I started small. That's the key. You don't have to risk your entire paycheck. You just need to get in the game. I started by putting $10 aside to spend, not to waste, but to invest. Not even in stocks at first. I bought a book. That's right. My first real investment was in my own education. That little book opened my mind, and with every page I gained confidence. And confidence is the antidote to fear. It's funny, we live in a world where people will risk thousands on vacations or gadgets they'll forget in a year, but won't risk $100 on a course that could change their financial life. That's not logic. That's fear disguised as wisdom. And fear has a clever way of sounding rational. It tells you to wait, to be careful, to think it through. And those are good things until they become excuses that keep you standing still while life moves forward. You don't have to go all in right away. Just stretch yourself 10% beyond what feels comfortable. You want to invest? Try a small, diversified amount in something simple. Learn how it works. You want to start a business? Try selling something small online, even if it's just a service or idea. You want to grow your income? Take a weekend class, build a new skill, or offer to help someone for a small fee. It's not about the size of the action, it's about the habit of action. The more you act, the less fear controls you, because action builds competence, and competence builds confidence. You'll still feel the butterflies, but they won't be in charge anymore. Instead of freezing, you'll move. Instead of doubting, you'll do. And soon you'll look back and realize that what once terrified you is now part of your routine. Wealth doesn't come to those who play it safe forever. It comes to those who learn how to take calculated risks, those who ask, what's the upside if I try? Instead of only asking, what's the worst that could happen? You've got to learn to bet on yourself, not recklessly, but regularly, because the greatest risk is never investing in your own potential. So start where you are. Stretch just a little. Put $10 into your future. Test, try, learn, and above all act. Because fear shrinks when you move, and wealth grows when you do. Isn't it fascinating how you can almost predict someone's financial future just by looking at who they spend their time with? You don't need a crystal ball. You just need to listen to the conversations. Are they talking about opportunity, growth, ideas, investments? Or are they complaining about the economy, blaming the government, and gossiping about other people's lives? See, you're not just shaped by what you read or what you learn. You're shaped deeply by who you allow into your daily orbit. And if you're surrounded by the wrong people, people who pull down your ambition instead of lifting it, then it's no mystery why progress feels like trying to run with weights strapped to your ankles. When I was younger, I spent far too much time in rooms where people had small dreams. And I don't mean small in value, I mean small in vision. They didn't want more because they didn't believe more was even possible. Their conversations were filled with limitations. They had a budget mindset, not an abundance mindset. They didn't invest in their minds, their skills, or their futures. They only invested in distraction. And what I learned was this: if you stick around long enough, that mindset becomes yours by default. But everything began to change when I changed who I was listening to. I remember attending my first seminar. It wasn't a large event, but the people in that room were thinking differently. They were asking better questions. They weren't talking about how to save 50 cents. They were asking how to generate $500 more this month. They weren't arguing about cutting back lattes. They were discussing how to build businesses, how to scale value, how to invest in themselves and multiply their worth in the marketplace. And I'll tell you, just being in that room stretched me. That's when I realized something powerful. Your future doesn't just depend on your mindset, it depends on the mindset of the people you allow to influence you. The wrong circle will make you believe success is luck. The right circle will remind you that success is built. The wrong crowd will laugh at your dreams. The right crowd will challenge you to dream bigger. Sometimes the most expensive thing in your life isn't what you spend your money on, it's what your environment is costing you in belief, ambition, and courage. You've got to get honest about that. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? What do they value? What do they pursue? What do they normalize? Because you will almost always rise or fall to the level of your circle. Now, I understand sometimes the people you love the most are the ones thinking the smallest. And I'm not saying you abandon your family or walk away from every friend. But I am saying this: limit their influence. You don't have to cut everyone off. You just need to make sure your inner circle is filled with people who talk in terms of growth, not lack. People who ask how, not just why. People who challenge you to rise, not stay stuck. One of the most powerful decisions I made was to join a mastermind group. It cost me money, it cost me comfort, but it paid me in accountability, fresh ideas, new relationships, and a raised standard of what was possible for me. Every conversation sharpened me. Every story inspired me. Every result became a mirror, showing me what could be done. So if you feel stuck, check your circle, audit your influences, and if you can't find people locally who think bigger, pick up a book. Mentorship can come from the pages of a great thinker. Plug into an online group. Listen to a podcast by someone 5 years ahead of you. You don't need perfect mentors, you just need better voices in your head. If you upgrade your environment, your life will begin to reflect that upgrade. Because when you surround yourself with wealth and mindset, you give yourself permission to grow into wealth in reality. Most people stop at the first stream of income, and that's the trap. One paycheck, one source, one dependency now, that might be fine to survive, but it's not how wealth is built. See, if all your financial oxygen comes from one place, what happens when that stream dries up? You're not just broke, you're breathless. Now, I'm not against jobs. A good job can be a wonderful starting point, but it should never be the final destination. The moment you rely on one stream alone, you've put a cap on your potential and a lock on your financial freedom. Wealth isn't built on accumulation alone. It's built on multiplication, not by piling more hours into the same paycheck, but by using your time and skills to open new doors of income. You've got more in you than one title or one role. You have hidden assets, your knowledge, your skills, your experience, your story. And the world pays generously for people who know how to package value and deliver it again and again in different forms. I remember working my first job, thinking if I just worked harder, longer, faster, I'd break through. But I was still stuck in the one-stream mindset. It wasn't until someone asked me, "What else can you offer the marketplace besides your hours?" that something clicked. I started teaching what I knew. I started creating materials. I started helping people solve problems. And slowly, those little efforts became side incomes. And those side incomes became businesses. Not overnight, but over time, because I refused to let one paycheck be my only plan. Now, how do you start? You don't need $1 million idea. You just need to look at what you already know. Are you good with numbers? You can tutor? Do you have experience in sales? Teach someone else how to sell. Can you bake, write, organize, repair, coach, or encourage? Someone out there needs exactly that. The marketplace doesn't pay you for effort, it pays you for solving problems. So the real question is, what problem are you solving outside of your job? Evenings and weekends become your secret weapons, not for rest alone, but for reinvention. You don't have to quit your job to build another income stream, you just need to stop wasting your off hours. Instead of 3 hours of television, try 3 hours of creation. Write something, start something, offer something. The goal isn't to be busy, the goal is to be productive in more than one lane. You may say, "But I'm tired after work." I understand. But what's more tiring working 40 years for one income that barely keeps up, or pushing yourself for a few months to build a second stream that could free you from that grind? One sacrifices comfort for a while. The other sacrifices freedom forever. And I'll tell you, once you see that second stream come in, no matter how small, it changes your whole mindset. You stop feeling like a prisoner of the paycheck. You start feeling like a producer in the marketplace. And here's the beautiful part. When you multiply streams, you multiply resilience. One stream dries up, you've got another flowing. One season gets slow, you pivot, you adjust, you keep going. Wealthy people don't rely on luck, they rely on systems. And one of those systems is multiple income streams that flow even while they sleep. So if you want to step into financial strength, don't just work harder, work smarter. Build something outside your job, multiply what you know, diversify how you earn, and never again allow one paycheck to define your entire financial future. I've often said that discipline is the foundation of all success, and nowhere is that more true than in the realm of money. You can have big dreams, strong desires, even a great income, but if you lack discipline, it all slips through your fingers. The problem isn't that people don't make money. It's that they don't manage it. Impulse spending, emotional shopping, forgetting where the money went, these things aren't just bad habits. They are silent thieves. And these thieves don't take it all at once. They take it little by little, day after day, until one day you look around and wonder where all the potential went. Now, financial discipline isn't about deprivation. It's about direction. It's not about saying no to everything. It's about saying yes to the right things. Most people spend emotionally and save occasionally. The wealthy do the opposite. They spend with purpose and save with a plan. If you want to fix your finances, don't wait for more money, build more structure. Because without a system, even a fortune gets wasted. But with a system, even a modest income begins to multiply. Let me tell you what changed things for me. I decided to treat money with the same respect I treated my time. I made a rule: track every dollar. Not just the big ones, the small ones too. Because how you manage a dollar is how you'll manage 10,000. I set financial habits just like gym habits or morning routines. Every Sunday evening, I'd sit down with my journal, look at what came in, what went out, and ask one simple question. Did I move closer to my goals or farther away? See, you don't drift to wealth. You drift to debt. Wealth requires steering, and steering requires a dashboard. That's why I started using whiteboards and simple trackers, not because it's fancy, but because it's visible. When your goals are on the wall, your behavior begins to align. It's hard to spend foolishly when your freedom is staring you in the face every morning. And here's a key point: automation helps discipline. I didn't want to rely on willpower to save money, so I set up automatic transfers. 10% goes straight to savings before I ever see it. 10% goes into investments. Whatever's left, I live on. That one decision removed the friction and made discipline easier. It turned my goals into defaults. Most people try to save after spending. It never works. The trick is to reverse the order. Save first, spend what remains. Another shift came when I stopped spending based on emotions. I learned to pause, ask myself, is this purchase feeding my future or stealing from it? That little question saved me thousands. The emotional high of buying fades quickly, but the peace of progress that sticks around. I chose peace. And I'll tell you this, rituals beat motivation every time. Motivation is a feeling, it comes and goes, but rituals are anchors. If you set a time each week to review your goals, track your habits, make financial decisions, you won't need inspiration, you'll have rhythm. And that rhythm builds momentum. Wealth is just momentum applied to money over time. You build it the same way you build muscle repetition, resistance, routine. So if your finances feel chaotic, it's not a sign to earn more, it's a sign to discipline more. Set your weekly financial check-in. Automate your savings. Use visual reminders. Track your habits. Replace emotion with intention. Over time, small disciplines compound into large results. That's the real magic of wealth. It's not in the big wins, but in the consistent ones. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful shifts you'll ever make in your financial life, moving from blame to ownership. It's subtle, but it's a turning point. See, poor thinking always looks outward. It points fingers. It says, it's the economy. It's the taxes. It's my boss. It's how I was raised. And while those things may have an impact, they don't have to determine your outcome unless you let them. I used to believe the same. I'd catch myself saying, if only the company paid more, or if only prices weren't so high. And then one day I heard something that shook me. I heard, you can't hire someone to do your push-ups for you. That's when it hit me. No matter who's in office, no matter how the market moves, I'm still responsible for how I respond. And responsibility is where all power begins. When you take ownership of your outcome 7, the ones that weren't your fault, you begin to reclaim control of your life. Blame is a comfort zone. It gives you a place to hide from the truth. But ownership is a growth zone. It puts the future back in your hands. The wealthy understand this. They don't wait for circumstances to improve, they improve themselves. They ask better questions. What can I do? What skills do I need to learn? How can I pivot, adapt, lead? They stop waiting for better leaders and start becoming one. I remember being broke and bitter. I was angry at the system, angry at the world, frustrated that others were doing better than I was. But that mindset only made things worse. One day I realized, no one's coming to rescue me. If my life's going to change, I have to change. If my money's going to grow, I have to grow. That moment of truth, that decision to take ownership, was the beginning of a new chapter. Let me be clear. Taking ownership doesn't mean you caused every problem, but it does mean you're the one responsible for changing it. The moment you say, this is mine to fix, the game changes. You shift from victim to architect. You stop reacting and start designing, and design is how wealth is built. Wealth is intentional. It's not something that happens to you, it's something you build. Brick by brick, thought by thought, habit by habit. You'll know you've crossed into ownership when your language changes. You stop saying, quote, why is this happening to me? And you start saying, what can I learn from this? You stop saying, I can't afford it, and start saying, how can I afford it? Ownership rewires your brain. It trains your focus. It activates resourcefulness. And resourcefulness is more powerful than any paycheck. I've seen people come from nothing, no savings, no connections, no advantages, but they took responsibility, they learned, they adjusted, and they rose. And I've seen others with every opportunity, but they stayed stuck because they blamed the world. The difference isn't background, the difference is mindset. So if you're tired of your financial situation, don't look outward, look inward. Stop waiting for someone else to change your life. Take the pen and start writing your own chapter. Even if you didn't cause the problem, you can still cause the solution. That's the moment you stop surviving and start building. That's the moment your wealth journey truly begins. I want you to consider a powerful truth that often goes unnoticed. Your beliefs about money will either open the door to wealth or slam it shut before you even have a chance to walk through. Many people carry hidden ideas deep inside their mind's beliefs, like money is evil or rich people are greedy and selfish. These beliefs aren't just harmless opinions. They are walls that repel wealth and keep success at bay. You might not even realize you hold these thoughts, but they influence your actions and your results every single day. I remember early on in my journey, I wrestled with this myself. I grew up hearing things like, money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to be lucky or ruthless to get rich. That created a sense of fear and guilt around money. I wanted to succeed, but a part of me felt uncomfortable with the idea of accumulating wealth. That inner conflict led to hesitation and missed opportunities. It's like having one foot on the gas and one on the brake at the same time. You never really get anywhere. The first step to breaking free is to recognize that money itself is neither good nor evil. It's simply a tool. It amplifies what you already are. If you're generous, money allows you to give more. If you're creative, it gives you resources to innovate. If you're disciplined, it helps you build freedom. But if you see money as a source of corruption or selfishness, you'll unconsciously sabotage your progress because deep down you don't want to become what you fear. I often say that wealth doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you are. And if you want to build wealth, you must first build a healthy, responsible relationship with money. That means thinking of it as a servant to your goals, not a master to your emotions. It means understanding that financial success is not about greed or excess. It's about having the means to live with purpose and impact. One practical way I rewired my beliefs was by surrounding myself with people who saw money differently. I listened to stories of entrepreneurs and philanthropists who used their wealth to change lives. I read books that showed money as a means of freedom and contribution. And slowly, my mindset shifted from fear to respect, from guilt to opportunity. Another step is to examine your own self-talk and language around money. What do you say to yourself when you think about wealth? Are your words filled with scarcity or possibility? Do you say, I can't afford that, or how can I afford that? These small mental habits are the gateway to your financial future. Developing a healthy relationship with money also means practicing responsibility, being honest about your spending, saving, and investing. It means treating your money like a trusted partner, not a foe. When you act responsibly, your mind starts to trust that money can be a positive force, and the trust creates confidence and attracts opportunity. Remember, your belief systems form the foundation of your financial life. If that foundation is shaky, no amount of income or opportunity will create lasting wealth. But if you build a solid foundation, one grounded in respect, responsibility, and a clear sense of purpose, then money becomes an ally in your journey. So today I challenge you to look inward and ask yourself, what beliefs about money are holding me back? What stories have I accepted as truth that no longer serve me? And what new empowering beliefs can I adopt to welcome wealth into my life? Because the moment you change your thinking, you change your trajectory, and that is the secret to building wealth that lasts. As we come to the close of this journey together, I want you to hold on to this truth. Wealth is not some mysterious treasure hidden for a fortunate few. It's a path, a set of habits, and most importantly, a mindset that anyone willing to commit can develop. Your financial future isn't something that happens to you by chance. It's something you create with intention, discipline, and clarity. If you take nothing else from this message, remember this: your wealth is a reflection of your mindset and the actions you take every day. The very first step on this road to financial success is to start with your mindset. The greatest fortunes ever amassed began with a thought, a vision, a belief. You must commit to growing your mind daily. Read books that challenge and inspire you. Journal your thoughts, your dreams, and your fears. Visualization is not just a buzzword. It's a powerful tool to align your subconscious with your goals. When you see yourself wealthy, competent, and in control, your brain starts working behind the scenes to turn that vision into reality. Your thoughts create your actions, and your actions create your financial life. Once your mindset is primed, set clear and measurable financial goals. These goals are your roadmap. Start small with a 90-day target, perhaps, to save a certain amount, pay down debt, or generate extra income. Then expand your vision to 1 year and then 5 years. Be specific. Ambiguity is the enemy of success. I've seen people drift aimlessly because their goals were vague or non-existent. Writing down your goals daily keeps your focus sharp, and revisiting them weekly allows you to adjust your strategies with purpose. A man without a plan is like a ship without a rudder, directionless and at the mercy of the waves. Tracking every dollar that comes in and goes out is a discipline many overlook, but is absolutely critical. Your income, expenses, savings, and debts should all be visible to you. I always advise people to treat their finances like a business. If you don't know where your money is going, you can't control it. Keep simple record-sus, a notebook, an app, or spreadsheets. When you track diligently, you'll start to see patterns. Maybe you're spending too much on dining out or not saving enough. Awareness is the first step toward change. With awareness comes the need for a budget, and not just any budget, a budget you can actually stick to. One helpful framework is the 70 divided by 10 divided by 10 divided by 10 rule. 70% of your income covers your living expenses, 10% goes to savings, another 10% to debt reduction or investments, and the last 10% is for giving. This simple division helps balance your present needs with your future goals and your heart's generosity. It's a formula grounded in wisdom and fairness, teaching you to live well today, but also to secure tomorrow. Increasing your value in the marketplace is non-negotiable if you want your income to grow. Don't chase money blindly, chase skills. Skills are the currency of value in today's economy. Whether it's learning sales, leadership, digital marketing, or financial literacy, invest in yourself relentlessly. I speak from experience. Early in my career, I took every opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become indispensable. As your value grows, so will your income, because the market rewards those who solve problems and create opportunities. One source of income is never enough. The wisest investors, entrepreneurs, and professionals understand the power of multiple income streams. Relying solely on a paycheck puts you at risk if that job disappears. Consider freelancing, consulting, creating digital products, or investing in real estate or stocks. Even small streams of income can build into a powerful river over time. This is how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth by multiplying their earning channels. Investing early, consistently, and wisely is a habit that will serve you for life. Don't wait until you have a fortune to start investing. Even $10 invested regularly can grow into a substantial nest egg because of the magic of compound interest. I remember starting with small amounts, feeling uncertain, but staying consistent. The key is to begin now. Keep learning about your investment options and never stop. Your money should work for you while you sleep. The company you keep has a profound effect on your financial journey. Build a powerful circle, surround yourself with mentors, accountability partners, and masterminds who lift you up. When you're around people who think big, act wisely, and pursue growth, you'll naturally adopt those same habits. I've witnessed countless transformations simply because someone found the right mentor or peer group. Avoid negative influences who breed doubt or excuse failure. Your environment shapes your destiny. Giving generously might seem counterintuitive when building wealth, but it is essential. Generosity trains your heart in abundance, not scarcity. When you give, you declare to the universe and to yourself that you trust there is more than enough. This mindset opens doors and creates opportunities in unexpected ways. It also aligns your wealth with purpose and meaning, which is the foundation of lasting success. Finally, stay consistent. The journey to wealth is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Motivation fluctuates, but systems endure. Rituals, daily habits, and routines become the invisible engine driving your success. Whether it's reading for 30 minutes each day, reviewing your budget weekly, or checking in with your accountability partner, these consistent actions compound over time. Wealth is built by those who show up day after day and apply themselves with persistence. So, as you leave here today, remember that building wealth is simple but not always easy. It requires a shift in thinking and steadfast action. Start by cultivating your mindset. Set clear goals, track every dollar, create a budget, and invest in your skills. Multiply your income streams, invest wisely, choose your circle carefully, give generously, and above all, be consistent. This is your moment to decide. Will you continue to drift, hoping for change, or will you take deliberate steps, however small, every day toward the financial life you deserve? The secret to wealth is within your reach. It starts with the choices you make today. So choose well, act boldly, and build the future you've always dreamed of.